Hello, it's Katrina at the Sewing Studio. Today I'm going to share with you 10 of my most favourite patchwork and quilting tools. So there's lots of things out there, there's lots of tools available, but these are my most favourite tools and I'm going to tell you why. So first of all, I'm going to show you the quilting paper that I use when I'm designing a quilt. And I love this graph paper. It's all measured out for you. So you've got this grid and then you can design your own quilt by colouring in the squares. So if you wanted to do a 10-inch block, this is what this is here. And then these are inch blocks. Or you could, as I've done here, if I'm working this out for a 4-inch square, so I just colour those in. So I love that. My next favourite are binding clips. I love these little clips. They're perfect if you don't want to use pins, and they're so easy when you're attaching a piece of fabric to another piece of fabric. For example, if you were doing your binding, and so you would use these rather than pins. And I just love those. I love the fact that they come in all these lovely pretty colours as well. So next up are these tweezers. I just love these tweezers because they're great if you've got a little bit of thread caught and you're trying to clean your machine. They've got a lovely, nice point. It's angled. And this part of the tweezers is perfect when you're turning something through. If you've sewn a bag and you want to turn it through and poke out the corners, this lovely round end here is perfect for doing so. Next up, a Hera Marker. Now what this is for is if you wanted to mark out a quilt pattern and you didn't want to mark the fabric with a pencil or an iron-off pen or any of those things, this is perfect for that. And so you would draw your line with the Hera Marker onto your fabric, and as you press in, it makes a crease in your fabric that is perfect for you to just sew down. And once you've done your sewing, that will sit really nice and neatly in that line. And then once you press it, you don't see it. Perfect. Now, while I've got this ruler, I'm going to talk to you about this because this one is my absolute favourite. Now, there's lots of rulers out there, but I would say if you're starting patchwork and quilting, then get yourself the 24-inch by 6.5-inch ruler. It does everything you need it to do. It was the first ruler I ever bought and I still use it every day. You're able to cut the width of a bolt with a ruler like this. You can do 6.5 inches so that you've got that extra half if you want to then sew your blocks so they're down to 6 inches. It's also got the lines going across it if you need 45 degrees. And as I say, this ruler does practically everything that you will need to do. So on the subject of rulers, you also need rotary cutters. So I've got 3 here. But my absolute favourite is this one, the middle one. Now the bigger one, which is 60mm, is perfect for trimming off your quilts. When you've got your wadding, you finish quilting and you want to trim a long length through all those layers and the wadding. So the 61 is perfect for that. The 28mm one is perfect for going round curves. But the one that I use every day is the middle one. That's my favourite. That's the 45, and I use that for all of my cutting out. So on the subject of cutting, my next favourite is this rotating cutting mat, because if I'm cutting out fabric on it and I need to turn the fabric to cut it in a different direction, I don't have to pick it up. I move the board, not the fabric. So that is my favourite cutting mat. Next up are my snips. Now I prefer to use snips rather than scissors. Keep them next to the sewing machine. They're quick and easy for just snipping off those odd threads. Also, when you're trimming up your whole quilt at the end and you always get little threads come through, these are great because they're nice and quick as you go through trimming up your threads. Another one of my favourites is my 1/4 inch foot. This is an absolute must for me because it helps to keep everything I do accurate. It's got this guide here so that when I'm using it, I know that if that's on the edge of my fabric, I'm going to get perfect 1/4 inch seams every time. So I can't live without that one. And finally, I've got this extra little gadget that I absolutely love. It's metallic and it comes out a bit like a wand. So when you've dropped a needle or pin on the floor and you're looking for it, this wand is great because you just hover over and everything jumps onto the end of it. So if you've lost a needle, it's just perfect. And I keep that folded up in my sewing box. So those are my absolute favourites. There's lots of tools out there, but these are my personal favourites that I can't do without. So as always, have fun. I look forward to seeing you next time here in the sewing studio.